Hi students, in this video we are going to discuss about the central nervous system, that is the brain and spinal cord. And first we will discuss about the brain, the main coordinating center in the human body. And it is highly developed organ situated in the cranium of the skull. And in adult it weighs about 1200 to 1400 gram. And it is covered by three membranes called meninges. It is covered by three membranes called meninges, and it is filled with a fluid. It is filled with a fluid that is known as cerebrospinal fluid. And what is the function of this fluid? Which protects the brain from shocks. Okay, and the brain has three main parts, and they are forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. Forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. And the forebrain, it consists of cerebrum and olfactory lobes. Cerebrum and olfactory lobes, and it is the thinking part of the brain. The process is taking place in this forebrain region, and it controls voluntary action. That means voluntary means according to our wish. And it controls touch, smell, hearing, taste, sight, mental activities like thinking, learning, memory, emotions, etc. So it's a very important part of the brain, that is the forebrain, which helps to think, memorize, learning, etc. Next is the midbrain. So midbrain controls involuntary actions. Involuntary means which is not so in our control. Yes. So involuntary actions and reflex movement. Reflex movement means which respond to stimuli. Reflex action, what you respond. And movements of head, neck, and your eyes, blinking of your eyes. Next comes the hindbrain. Hindbrain consists of cerebellum, pons, and medulla. So if you open your textbook with the diagram, it will be very easy to understand. The diagram is given in your textbook, which is very important human brain diagram. So hindbrain consists of cerebellum, pons, and medulla. So what is the function of cerebellum? It controls body movements. It controls body movements and balance and posture of our body. Okay, it controls the body movement, balance, and posture. Then pons, it controls respiration. It controls a respiration. Then medulla oblongata, you might have heard, right? So medulla oblongata, it controls heartbeat, blood pressure, swallowing, coughing, sneezing, vomiting, etc. So these are the functions of hindbrain, that is the cerebellum, pons, and medulla. Here you can see the diagram of human brain, and which is there given in your textbook also. And here you can see lobes, that is parietal lobe, frontal lobe, temporal lobe, occipital lobe. So let's see the functions of this. Parietal lobe, main function is conscious association, that is touch, pain, and temperature will be controlled by the parietal lobe. And occipital lobe, occipital means visual reception, visual what we see, visual reception. And temporal lobe, auditory reception, hearing, auditory. Then frontal lobe, which is the muscular activities. So each part of the brain is helping us to do different functions in our body. And here you can see the cerebellum, pons, and medulla, which are the parts of what? Hindbrain. Okay. And here you can see the spinal cord, which connects from here it goes. So next we need to know about the spinal cord. Yes. So spinal cord, you know, it starts from the brain. Just you have seen, it starts from the brain and extends through the vertebral column. Here you can see your vertebral, this is the body, and here you can see it starts from here, it moves through the vertebral column, and it has 31 pairs of spinal nerves, that is nerves in these areas. Okay, and it carries messages to the brain and from the brain. It carries messages to the brain and also from the brain, and it controls reflex action. Reflex action means the immediate response which we show. Okay, that will be discussed in the next slide. So spinal cord starts from the brain and extends through the vertebral column. Yes, next is the reflex action. What do you mean by reflex action? It is nothing but the immediate response that do not require any processing by the brain. That means it's an immediate response, or reflex action is a sudden or unconscious and involuntary response of the effectors to the stimulus. That means, for example, if you are touching a hot coffee, suddenly you are withdrawing your hand. That is a reflex action. Yes, so we suddenly withdraw our hand if we suddenly touch a hot object. So that action is known as what? Reflex action. And next we will study about reflex arc. Arc means the path which helps to do the reflex action. That will be discussed in the next slide. So in reflex action, the nerves in the skin, that means receptor, these terms we have already discussed in the last class. Receptors which receives, and sensory nerves which carry the information from the receptors. Then effectors means what? Are the muscles or the glands which respond to the information, and motor nerves which will carry the information from the brain and spinal cord. Yes, so in reflex action, what is happening there? The nerves in the skin, for example, if we are touching with our hand, the skin touches the hot object, right? So the nerves in the skin receives, that is the receptor. Then the heat passes, then it detects the heat, hotness of the object, and the heat passes the message through the sensory nerves which will carry the information. Yes, so the nerves in the skin detects the heat, receives and passes the message through the sensory nerves to the spinal cord. Okay, so the information is reached to the spinal cord. Then the information passes through the motor nerves. Reverse, we should do the action. Reflex action we have to do. So from the spinal cord again return back it is coming the information, that is the information passes through the motor nerves to the muscles, that is the effectors of the hand, and we suddenly withdraw our hand. This is how the reflex action is taken. Just if you imagine yourself touching a hot object, how the information goes and how it comes back, that you can understand it very easily, the reflex action. Okay, so it's very simple to understand the reflex action. And now you can see what is reflex arc. Reflex arc means what? So reflex action may be defined as the spontaneous or automatic or mechanical response to the stimulus. That means sudden immediate response that we do. Yes, so the pathway followed by sensory motors, that means the information is going from the skin to the spinal cord. From the spinal cord again it is coming through the motor nerves to the muscles, so that we are withdrawing our hands, right? So that path, the pathway followed by the sensory and motor nerves, that pathway is known as what? Reflex arc. Pathways of reflex action is called reflex arc. So in a reflex arc, the stimulus is received by the receptors and it passes through the sensory nerves to the spinal cord. From the spinal cord, the information passes through the motor nerves to the effectors. Then we respond. Okay, here you can see the flow chart of it. Stimulus is coming. Our receptors which receives, that is a sense organ. For example, if you are touching a hot object, the skin, then it moves, the information moves through the sensory nerves to the spinal cord. From there again what happens? Through the motor nerves, the information is coming to the effectors, that is the muscles and the glands, and there we respond. We immediately take away our hand from the hot object. This is what the reflex action. I hope it is clear. And here you can see the diagrammatic representation of reflex action, and it is being given in your textbook also in page number 117, and very important. If you go through, you will understand that what action we do, that only. Okay, here you can see. So the pathway of a reflex action is called the reflex arc. So in a reflex arc, the stimulus is received, that is the receptors, and through the sensory nerves, it passes to the spinal cord. This is a spinal cord, and from the spinal cord the information passes through the motor nerves to the effectors or the muscles and glands for the response. That means from here we will understand we have to take away or withdraw our hands from the hot objects. So this is all about the reflex arc, reflex action, and human brain and spinal cord. I hope it is clear to you. So next we need to study about the coordination in plants, so which will be discussed in the next video. So thank you.